Hey, did you know that for a baby to be sleeping through the night, they don't technically have to sleep 11 to 12 hours? It's something like 6 or 7 hours is considered to be sleeping through. But how do you get them to do that? Well, today I'll be answering your sleep question. How do I get my baby to sleep through the night? Hi, I'm Taylor. I'm one of the pediatric sleep consultants here at Little Ones and a mother to 2 very cheeky little girls. At Little Ones, we specialise in infant sleep and we've helped over 200,000 families to achieve better sleep within their households. If you'd like to know more about the program, you can visit our website, www.littleones.co, and you can check out some more links relating to babies sleeping through the night in the description below. But also, tell me, let me know, how old was your little one when they started to sleep through the night? Are they even sleeping through the night? So what does sleeping through the night even mean? Well, as I said, it's actually technically only 6 to 7 hours of continuous sleep, if you could call it that. 11 to 12 hours of sleep is amazing and great and what we hope for. But if your little one has slept for, say a 6 or 7 hour period, you've actually done it. Like, they've done sleeping through the night. So yay! But just a little disclaimer, even though we say 6 to 7 hours, they aren't really sleeping solidly through that period. Adults aren't even doing that. We still have cycles where we're going into lighter sleep and then deeper sleep. And we are waking during those periods, adults, children, babies, but we're not consciously aware of it the older that we get because we just kind of drift in and out. So your baby isn't technically going to be sleeping solidly for 6 hours or so. They'll still rouse for a bit, but then settle back down again. And then once they hit that fun 4-month regression, that's when they actually will wake fully and be like, sleep, how sleep? Don't know, nope. Need help? Yep. Don't know how to do it. Just forgot. So back to the question. How do we actually get our little ones to sleep through the night? When your little one is a newborn, they might be more inclined to sleeping solidly or sleeping for a really, really long time just because they're still so exhausted from childbirth. They're just still getting accustomed to life outside the womb. So they're just like, no, we sleep, we just keep sleeping. And for some people that can be bliss. I was lucky enough to have a little one second time round who was just like, I'll just sleep for 11 hours. That's fine. And I was like, I know I'm good, but I'm not that good. What's up with this? This isn't, why are you doing this? Eventually her sleep did actually regulate and now I've got a normal sleeper. So to get them sleeping through the night and then continuing to sleep through the night, first things first, look at their sleep environment. It's a broken record that we're always spruiking this stuff, but that's because it works. So check that their room environment is super, super dark, super, super dark, super, super dark. Don't worry about a night light for anyone that's under 2 years of age. That can actually be too stimulating for them. Even the red hued ones. Let's try to avoid it because they don't have any fear of the dark. They're not capable of actually understanding the concept, and any sort of excess light can be super stimulating. So keep it dark. Make sure they're super warm. Adding an extra layer here or there might help. Having some form of heating on, or just rug them up. Make them really, really warm. Having white noise playing, always a given. If you've got something that you can just tune into, if you happen to come into a lighter sleep cycle, you hear that familiar sound, you just drift back off again. So have some white noise in there too. That'll really help. Have a look at their day sleep. If they're having too much day sleep, they're going to come to bedtime and not be tired enough to actually keep sleeping. If they don't have enough sleep pressure to keep sleeping overnight, they're going to reach a certain point where they're just going to go, do you know what? I've actually had enough sleep. I know you'd love for me to keep sleeping, but I say we party. The same goes for if they haven't had enough sleep during the day. I know logic tells you if you haven't slept a lot during the day and then you get to bedtime, you're going to be like, I'm more tired, so I want to sleep for longer. But in actual fact, what you're doing is you're throwing out their circadian rhythm. They've got too much sleep pressure, and then they get into this vicious cycle of continually waking because they're like, I'm so exhausted, but I can't keep sleeping. So you've got to find the right balance for how much sleep they actually need during the day. We can actually help you out there. If you check out our sleep programs, we've got how much sleep is actually appropriate per age and the nap timings, as well as a schedule to follow, which will really, really help to make sure that your little one has enough sleep pressure going into bedtime, which will help to solidify your chances of having really good long sleep overnight. Another thing to look at is their feeds. So if your little one is waking a couple of times overnight and they're, say, under 6 months of age, it's actually normal to have a couple of wakes overnight. So anything under 6 months of age, we would expect them to actually still need some form of milk overnight, just because their little bellies aren't quite big enough to hold a substantial amount of food overnight to keep them going until breakfast time. So obviously newborn stage, you might be feeding quite regularly because it's just a teeny tiny little stomach that needs a little bit more milk more often. Closer to 6 months of age, you might start to see them dropping down to maybe needing only one feed overnight. And also if they are near that 6 month mark, you might start introducing solids, and that can actually help them to stay asleep for longer overnight because they're going to be fuller from those solids. But I will say, starting solids doesn't necessarily guarantee that like that week they're going to start sleeping overnight. It takes them a while to actually fully establish on solids and start taking in enough calories to actually keep them down for longer overnight. So if you are starting solids, start slow. Don't rush into it, and don't expect it to magically fix their overnight sleep as well. Another one that will help your little one to sleep for longer overnight is their ability to self-settle. So have a look at how your little one settles to sleep overnight and during their day sleeps as well. If we're looking at prior to the 4-month regression, don't stress too much about how they're falling asleep, because for the majority of the time, they will just keep sleeping. It's only once they hit the 4-month sleep regression that we start to see just how impactful how they're going to sleep is to the rest of their sleep cycles going forward. Say, for example, you might be using a dummy or a pacifier to get your little one to sleep. If they're beyond 4 months of age, but they're before sort of 7 months of age when they can start replacing the dummy themselves, if you're giving them a dummy, they fall asleep with it, everything's all sweet. After a couple of hours, it just drops out of their mouth. And then they wake up between sleep cycles and they're like, hang on, no, I was sucking and I fell asleep. I want to suck again, but I can't suck. That's when you've got to replace the dummy. So just things like that, looking at what's happening right as they're falling asleep at the start of bedtime and during the day as well. And if you think actually they're really relying on me to get to sleep, that's when you might go, okay, let's look towards self-settling, because as soon as they can do that, I guarantee you overnight they might wake and go, actually I can do this. Yeah, I'll just keep sleeping. And then eventually they won't even think about it. So as I said, some babies will actually sleep through the night without even trying. And again, I don't know how mine did it from birth, but I will tell you that from birth, I had her room set up so dark it irritates my husband. I had white noise playing from the day we left the hospital, and I always kept her swaddled or really warm. And that was one of the things that really helped her to stick with the sleeping well overnight. I will say too that there is one thing that can help with some people's babies, and that's to offer what's called a dream feed. This can kind of work up until about 6-ish months, around the time that you're kind of introducing solids, they're getting established on solids, all that. And what that means is before you go to bed, so your baby's already asleep, but when you go to bed, just prior to, give them a feed whilst they're asleep. You might have to kind of be like, hey, do you want some milk? And they'll be like, oh, okay. And if you can do that for them, what that means is it might eliminate the chances of them waking overnight because they're like, oh, I'm hungry. They might have a full tummy and then keep sleeping through. Obviously this doesn't work for some people. Some people it works a treat, others their baby still wakes maybe 3 or so hours later, in which case I wouldn't worry about doing the dream feed, just let them wake naturally overnight. But it can work, and if it works for you, that's also another little tip to get your baby sleeping through the night. Well, I hope this has helped to answer the question of how do I get my baby to sleep through the night, and also help to clarify what is sleeping through the night. If you'd like some more information about sleeping through the night for your little one, check out some of the links in the description. We post a new video every week, and keep throwing questions at us because we're more than happy to answer you guys. If you'd like to keep up to date with everything, you should check out our socials where we post things regularly. I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.